to my channel. If you're returning, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I appreciate you stopping in, checking it out, seeing what it's all about. I am B, and this is More Than Borderline. This is where I share about my life as a person who suffers from borderline personality disorder, along with many other disorders, which I address in many of my videos. But I also have the victory of being a Christian, and so I have joy and peace in the midst of all of it. Not all the time, but a lot more than when I've tried to do this on my own without God. So you're always going to hear me talk about my life as a person with mental illness who also is living with Christ. And I am supposed to be trying to upload a couple times a week, and that has not been happening as consistently. I am having a lot of fatigue still from the treatments that I'm doing for my neurofeedback treatments. I have a whole video about the neurofeedback treatments I'm doing to treat my borderline. I know they say there's no cure for borderline, but if you look at the brain and you look at the electricity coming off of the brain, our brains are computers, and computers can be adjusted and computers can be fixed. And yeah, there's meds out there, and I'm on meds, and they're helpful, but they were not nearly helpful enough. And I've done a lot of different treatments, but this neurofeedback treatment is the latest thing. I've seen such great success with my daughter that I am excited to see ultimately on the other side of this how my brain will be different. But right now it's tired because I'm working it out, and that's okay. So I have not been able to record as consistently, but I'm here now. And I've been thinking a lot about how we get judged on our past. And really, you think about it, think about politics, think about, I was even watching this whole video not too long ago. Actually, I think it was only like a year ago. There was a young lady who came out who was living in her car. And I'm not going to get into the whole thing about her name and bringing it up and all of that, because I can't remember it anyway. But I was watching her, and she's a Christian, and she was living in her car, and her channel took off. And the way that our world is, especially on the internet, social media, everybody just started researching her. And next thing you know, if you type this girl's name in, you are just going to get video after video after video of people tearing her apart, saying that she's an awful person, that she lost custody of her kid, that her husband said this about her, that her mom said this about her, that you can see she's been arrested, that she's, and I'll never forget that this one personality, I think her name is Bose, not a nice person. If y'all watch her, she is not a nice person. I shouldn't even be saying that. You know what? She don't know God, and most people don't know God. I mean, look and talk like that. It's, when you get your whole channel off of judging other people and making fun of other people and how off they are. So I guess you could feel real good and high and mighty about yourself. But at the end of the day, one of the comments that I heard her make was that, yeah, okay, you have mental illness, that's fine. But when you act like this, or when you do this, then that's not acceptable. Okay, well, your knowledge about mental illness is not acceptable, because if you would understand that a brain that is misfiring, you don't know how to treat other people. You don't know how to treat yourself. Your brain is broken. So when your brain is broken, and then people are like, well, even with mental illness, you should still A, B, and C, and D. Is your brain broken? Because if your brain's not broken and you don't know what it's like for your brain to misfire, don't be speaking on what other people can and can't be acting like, unless you got some kind of degree in psychology that makes you qualified to talk in that way. And I personally think that even with a degree in psychology, unless you have experienced your brain breaking down and betraying you, there's only so much you can learn about in books. And so I'm looking at this girl, and I'm looking at dates This girl, most of the stuff they were talking about, this child has mental illness. Okay, she's a woman now. I think she's like in her 30s. But all the stuff that was happening was in her late teens, early 20s. So you're mentally ill in your late teens and early 20s. Let me to look at everybody who's mentally ill and what they look like in their late teens and early 20s. You look at me in my late teens, mid-teens, early teens, 20s. Oh my gosh. Even in the 30s, even a couple years ago, when my mental illness acts up, I act up and I act out, and people could research me to the cows come home. I'm telling you right now, you're going to find some mess. But that is what happens when you are ill. That means your brain isn't working properly. So of course you are out there acting a fool because you're broken. And like, it's funny, my daughter likes to watch Cops a lot, and I constantly find myself just like, gosh, somebody help these people. Like, you know, nobody as a kid was like, I want to grow up to be ill. I want to grow up to be on drugs. I want to grow up to not feel secure and to feel like everyone around me is out to get me, or to feel like I'm so sad and alone that even when I'm in a room full of people, I feel more alone and sad than ever. Nobody chooses that. No, girls don't grow up saying, gosh, I hope I get to grow up and be a prostitute and a stripper and be hooked on meth. Nobody says that. So if you could look at your child, if you could look at a kid that you love and imagine, you don't know what their future is. You don't know what their brain holds. You don't know what kind of trauma, what kind of situations await them that could damage and alter their brain, their chemistry, their the electronic fields that are going on and misfiring in their brain. And next thing you know, sometimes it's only when someone you love is going through that, or you experience it yourself, that you step back from being so high and mighty and judgmental and realize that even if you're well, you didn't choose to be well. Now, that's a blanket statement. That's not necessarily all true. I am doing better than I have ever done before because of choices I've made to get there. And the neurofeedback is important. The medication is important. The EMDR I did is important. I mean, all the stuff that I've done, I put a lot of work into being well. And the reality is that even though I think everybody in the whole world needs neurofeedback and should get it. And if you don't know what it is, you need to look into it. And if you could afford it, you should do it. And if you could put it on a credit card, it's your brain. There's nothing more important than fixing your brain. So I'm all for neurofeedback. But if you can't do that for whatever reason, you still need to do what you can to figure out how to be the best you that you could possibly be. And we know that there are some people that brains are like beyond repair. You see people on the street that, like, I don't know if they're beyond repair, but they don't even have enough people or enough sense to know that they need help. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that with borderline, that you are on the borderline of, like, I could choose to go either way. I could choose to just let my brain tell me its side of everything and live in this crazy way and justify it all, right? Or I could decide that when your brain is broken, you probably shouldn't listen to it. You should probably get advice and counseling from people and doctors who know the brain and who can see what's going wrong and who can help repair your brain so you can be the best you can be. And that's a choice. So I did make choices to help get better. And when I'm in a bad place, I could make choices to make it worse. And that's true of everybody. We all have choices to make constantly. But I just think that we need to be careful when we look at people and go, oh, well, that's who they say they are now. But if you look at their past, if you look at who they were 5 years ago, I was a hot mess 5 years ago. There's been times where I was preaching from a pulpit, and there's been times where I was swinging from a pole. And it's not that much time in between sometimes, because that's the nature of being unwell. But I'm trying. And for people who try, and they're trying to get to a better place, and then we as a society want to get on a high horse and then put them under a microscope and judge them for everything they did, and especially when you're at your lowest, especially when you're in your early 20s, when you're in your late teens, your brain isn't even finished growing to your 26. Who somebody was at 19 and 20 and even 25 does not mean and define who they are at 30, 35, 40. At any time, we could decide to grow and mature and be a better person. You have who you were before God, who you were after God, hopefully. But I think that I think we need to get off our horses and stop looking down on people and judging everybody, because you don't know. You don't know what your brain holds. You don't know if you're going to get dementia one day. You don't know what's going on. And then you're going to see, as your brain betrays you, that you have no idea how you're going to act when your brain betrays you until it does. And if we could be a society that could love on each other, could be happy for people when they're trying to do better, not assume that they're lying and manipulating. Like, even when I was watching this girl's video, like, she had to stop making videos. I don't even think she made them for a whole year because people were being so foul to her. But I feel like the last video that I watched, that she was like, all this stuff that's coming out about me, like, I know who I am. God knows who I am. And I never said I didn't have a past, but I'll talk about it when I'm ready to talk about it. And I feel like all these people, especially on the internet, who just sit around talking about people, like, you're really telling me that if we pull up everything you've ever done your whole life, that you're crispy clean, you ain't got nothing that wouldn't be embarrassing or awful, that the internet couldn't drag you for? Like, we get so comfortable jumping on this train of just being hateful and being spiteful and saying some awful things to people, and then like feeling good about yourself. Like, you shouldn't feel good about yourself. That doesn't make you a good person or a better person at all. Like, it just doesn't. And it just makes me mad, and it makes me sad. And I hope that this girl is doing well in spite of how this world chewed her up and spit her out, because she does know God. I think that it happened even more so because she knows God. You know what I mean? But yeah, I was just thinking about that. And so, if you're in a place where you feel like everybody is judging you based on everything you've ever done, just know that you could still decide to look forward. You can learn from your past, but you don't need to get stuck. I mean, if you're constantly looking back, you're going to trip and fall. Because how are you moving forward if you're not looking forward? And I heard somebody say recently that there's a reason that your windshield is this big and your rear view mirror is only this big, because you need to spend your time seeing what's coming, what's in front of you. Yeah, you want to glance to see what's going on behind you, but you don't spend all your time looking there. If you drive looking in your rear view mirror, what's going to happen? You're going to crash, dude. You're going to crash. So we need to be looking forward, and we need to be trying to be the best person that we could be. And the only way to be the best person you could be is by being the person that God created you to be. And only God knows who that is. So my prayer for you and for me is that we will look forward, look to who God wants us to be. Don't look so far forward, though, also, that you're not in the moment. When you're driving, you still got to look at what's going on right here. You could glance and see, oh my gosh, there's an accident up here, or blah, blah, blah. But you better pay attention to what's going on right here, or you're going to crash still, right? You got to be in the here and now. We also get so caught up in what we think will or will not happen up here that we're still not paying attention to the moment. Be in the moment. Be in the moments God has given you. Love on those God has given you to love on. And even if you have one of those days or one of those moments where you're like, I just can't today. All right, well, tomorrow's another day. Get yourself up. Let's not avoid life, because you're not here to avoid life. We're here to live life. Get in your car, metaphorically. Clean your window off. Yeah, you could peek in the rear view. Yeah, you could see what's coming forward. But enjoy the drive. Roll down the window. Turn on some music. Like, be in the moment. Don't always be living in regret. Don't always be worried about what's going to happen later or tomorrow. There's a place and a time for all of that, but that shouldn't consume you. You gotta just make sure that you are working every moment and every day to be the best you could be. And holding on to the past and worried and frustrated and disappointed about a future that hasn't even happened yet, none of that is going to help you live your best life, the life God has for you in this moment. So that's what I've been thinking about. That's what I wanted to share with you guys. Hopefully it's received well. I'm here to give love. I'm here. Yeah, I give a lot of advice, and I don't even know if I'm qualified to, but a lot of people ask me for my advice, so I feel like it must be helpful on some level. You could take it or you could leave it, but it's all in love. And also, if you're struggling from mental illness, don't give up. Don't give up. And if you need me to pray for you, if you have personal advice that you want about a situation, you can put all of that below. If you want to see a video about a certain topic, all of it in the comments, and I'll see what I can do. In the meantime, I hope that you guys are looking forward to the week to come. I hope that you guys are doing your best to enjoy this day, this breath, these hours, these moments that God has blessed you with. It's all a gift. See you guys soon.